Hey everyone, welcome to the Pandora Theater. I'm Clint Schaffer.
And I'm Chad Weeks, and we're a couple guys who like movies and like talking about movies. Clint, what movie are we going to watch tonight?
We're going to watch Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 1984. So grab your popcorn,
Fill your drinks,
and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back. We just got done watching Wonder Woman 1984. Chad, what was your thoughts on it?
Before we talk about our thoughts, I want to say we're going to review this movie. We're going to try and do it without spoilers. So we're going to try and keep this safe. If we do have any content that says that, we'll throw a spoiler alert coming up or something like that on your back of your screen. But I'd like to keep it. We're going to talk about some stuff. So if you have seen it or if you have not seen it, feel free to watch. It's going to be safe. But Clint, I want to know what your thoughts are on it first, because I feel like yours are going to be a little bit more.
Well, yeah. So I watched it, or my family and I watched it on HBO Max, right? So we got to watch it at the comfort of our own home, and how we watched it, we watched Wonder Woman 1984. Then we ended up the next day we watched Wonder Woman, and then we watched 1984 one more time, just to give it a good thorough watch. Watch here. I would say out of all of the DC movies, this would rank just above Green Lantern. Like that's where I would put this movie.
That's a horrible thing. that's the worst thing you could possibly say. At least it's above Green Lantern, I guess.
Yeah, no, it is.
Suicide Squad?
Oh, no, it's below Suicide Squad.
Oh, come on, above.
It is. It is.
Okay.
I think this is an incredibly poor written movie. And I did enjoy it. It's entertaining. I enjoyed Green Lantern for all that.
That's a good point.
But I think this is a incredibly poor written movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that on some levels. I feel like there's some things that were a little bit too in your face, like a little bit too more on the nose. There was a lot of stuff that we knew Steve Trevor was coming back, right? Which first off, I love Chris Pine. I love seeing Chris Pine out there. So like I feel like that was great. I love Pedro Pascal. I know you weren't as big a fan of him, but I do like the fact that you said he was an overactor.
Yeah, I like him as an actor, right? I mean,
love him.
Mandalorian, right? I mean, Mandalorian's
Prince
been
Oberon.
Awesome. Prince Oberon,
The greatest what could have been in Game of Thrones history. But
no,
anyway.
I like him as an actor. I thought this particular role with Max Lord, and overall, before I get into that, the acting in this movie was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed it. But when it come to his character, I feel like it was just overdone and it was overacted.
Yeah. I feel like that fits in with his TV personality. He said in there at one point he is a TV personality, and that's kind of like hokey. So I can kind of get behind that. So I'm not going to fault him on that. I think that he's a great actor. He's been fantastic. So I think that that's what he was shooting for, and that's what he was going for. I think that overall his character just didn't have a whole lot to work with because, again, I kind of agree with you. It's kind of a poorly written movie. I feel like there was a lot of things that just didn't add up. They just didn't make sense. First off, we talked about Steve Trevor coming back. Why do we need Steve Trevor again? I would rather have this movie be handled by Gal Gadot and Kristen Wiig, because I feel like they had the chemistry. They did great. I really liked both of those characters a lot. Cheetah's a great villain. You've got Wonder Woman, who's a great character. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, is probably the best in the DC universe, I would say. Like,
hands down.
I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I would go into that and I would say the same thing. Chris Pine exited the first movie beautifully. Mm-hmm. I mean, out in the sky, plane blowing up, fantastic, right? And you felt that raw emotion from Wonder Woman when that happened, right? I mean, that's when she busted out and ends up, beating her brother, right? And so anyway, it was just it was a great exit. I don't think that Chris Pine added anything to this movie. Not necessarily his acting didn't, but again, his character didn't necessarily add any depth to this movie for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of taking a step back from what you want with a female-led cast, where you have to have. I don't like that movies nowadays. You have to have a love interest for the lead character. I just kind of get tired. Does every movie have to have a love story? Like,
well, and this love story kind of went above and beyond, right? You're talking about two people that have known each other for maybe a week or two, right? In the first movie, I don't know exactly what that timeline is, but it's not very long, maybe even a few days. To then him being gone for 66 years and her still just every time she looks at a plane in the sky and she's just this, horribly depressed human, or I should say God.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Yes, exactly. She's this god, and the first man she sees in her life, she's going to fall in love with. I can get behind that, and I enjoy. Like I said, Wonder Woman, the first one was fantastic and perfectly done. But then 60, you said 66 years?
66 years, yeah.
66 years later, and she is still just pining over Chris Pine, and that's a little wordplay there. But like, get over it, man. And I know that you can't tell somebody when to stop loving someone and all that stuff that plays into it. But seriously, you're a god, and you're supposed to be the strong woman. This, and you can't get over a guy for 66 years.
She hasn't aged for 66 years. This dude would have been dead probably whether he stayed alive or not.
That's
right?
what my wife said. That's what my wife said. She's like, well, I mean, she's gonna have to say goodbye to him eventually anyway, because he's going to age and she's not. Plus, like you said, the immoral value of a guy coming back and taking over another body, which that was a little bit of a spoiler alert, but but no, we know Steve Trevor's coming back, and they make it a very believable way. I like the manner that they did it. I just don't know that we needed it. And like you said, do they really need? How do they accept the fact that he's just going to take over this life, and this other dude just out of luck? It's his life, and
literally
doesn't care.
The most immoral way for this story to be told, and Wonder Woman, this iconic hero, always doing good, believes in truth. It just goes with the most immoral way to bring her boyfriend, which they kept using, which even made me laugh even a little bit more, because this isn't even like her, long husband or anything. Yeah. And it's like, you're just okay with, basically destroying somebody else's life to get your love interest back. Yeah. And I had a really tough time swallowing that as a storyline. And again, I didn't understand that.
Totally agree. I think it was totally unnecessary. And again, I love Chris Pine. Everything Chris Pine does, I absolutely am in. I think he's an incredible actor.
Yep,
I love his movies so much. I wish I could see more of him in movies. Star Trek, by the way, I really wish they'd do one more episode. Or
he
one
was
more.
fantastic.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah,
the best.
fantastic.
Anyway, but to me, it was all unnecessary. I just don't.
The other thing, too, that frustrated me throughout this entire movie, if you're a big fan of Wonder Woman 1, which I am, that's literally my favorite DC movie of all time. I mean, it is
of all time.
Of all time.
Dark Knight.
Dang it. Okay.
Yeah.
Not including the Dark Knight series. But yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic, right? I love the way that it makes you feel. I love the story, everything else. But going into 1984, there's a ton of inconsistencies with the first movie, and it's the same people directing, or it's the same person directing it, right? And the frustrating part on that is, even at the very beginning, the very front side of this movie, you watch little Wonder Woman, right, at, I don't know, probably 8-9 years old, running around as like this amazing warrior. And they specifically called out in Wonder Woman 1 that her mom did not know she was training until she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we didn't even follow the consistency of that timeline. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, she was an amazing warrior at the age of 8.
Yep. So at one point in Wonder Woman 1, she's able to jump off the thing, and her mom catches her arm. And nope, can't be doing that. But in this movie, apparently she's going to go off and do all these whatever you want to call it. I liken it to Wipeout. It looks like they're doing a Wipeout series.
You're right.
They're running along the little anyway.
The other thing too, though, the entire storyline, but from that 15-20 minute opening scene that I don't know why we had, I don't even know how it wraps into the overall movie.
Correct. Okay, so I watched it again like you did, and because I thought the same thing. It seemed like the opening scenes, both of them, were just entirely disconnected from the movie itself. And the opening scenes are the only time you get action for another hour or two. So like you get these two opening scenes where it's like a double intro. The first one is, I think it's the first one. Yeah, it's the first one where she's doing this. Like I said, the wipeout, the Olympics for the Amazonian women. And there was supposed to be some sort of lesson to be learned about lies catch up to you, and I guess that's what the moral of the story is. But it was weak,
that's a stretch.
Yeah, exactly, and it was in the face of what happened. And then on top of that, and again, let's stay with that though before we go into the other opening scene. You talked about comparing the first Wonder Woman to this one. She was not the brave, godlike creature that we saw in the first one, who was running out on the field with her shield to fight on, crossing no man's land, and just
that scene is fantastic.
It is. It gave me chills thinking about it, because that is such an iconic scene that is great, and like everything that she does up there, she just can't understand why people would want to do these bad things and that sort of thing, and she's all power and just trying to find herself, and then this one, it's like
none of those feelings.
I
never had that one scene that gave me chills, made the hair on my neck, raise up like I did. There was probably 3 different scenes in the first Wonder Woman where that happened, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite is when Steve yells, Diana, shield, right?
Yeah,
and it was just amazing, yep. Right? And we didn't have any of that. Yep. She going back to the opening scenes, and you end up having the mall, and she's like literally swinging around like she's Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it's all just sporadic. There was nothing that was.
So I agree, and like you look at the first one and the second one, the way she moved was kind of like 300-esque, where there's more kind of a fluid motion with her fighting style and stuff, which is kind of cool. I felt like it was a little bit overdone here, because now you've got her lasso, which is like a sentient being, which is fine. I can get behind that, but it's like she throws it up in the air and it just pulls her along like a zip line, like a Batman, and then she does what she was lassoing and throws it behind her and lassos 2 guys because it splits in half, and it just seemed like it was almost like this was Wonder Woman's lasso.
And correct. So I don't know much about Wonder Woman from like the comic book side. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Like growing up, I don't remember Wonder Woman being in like a lot of the series and stuff that I guess maybe I watched. But so I don't know a lot about her character. But in this, you're sitting here watching her, especially towards the end of the movie, flying with her lasso, and like that's how she flies, is with the lasso. And I guess I didn't realize that. I thought she could just fly.
She can in the comics, like she just flies, like
and that was kind of back and forth in this movie too, though. You kind of seen this.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that's where I was going to go with the fighting styles and stuff like that, because it's almost like she defies gravity a little bit, kind of like Superman does, but she just doesn't know how to do it yet. Like she doesn't. So I feel like as she was having her pilot, Steve Trevor, kind of talk to her about things, where he's saying just find the wind. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of where she kind of got that
I could see
ability.
That.
So I was able to put that one aside and be like, okay, I can get behind that now. So,
yeah, it didn't bother me. I just didn't realize that was like, I didn't know if that's how she flew in the comics.
No, I've never seen her,
because it reminded me a lot of Thor.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, here, I'm going to spin this thing, throw it up, and take off. So there's just a little bit of that was...
So speaking of Thor, which also... We should talk about the fish out of water stuff, too, because Steve Trevor does the typical fish out of water, because he's from the 1940s or whatever.
No, 1918 was when he died.
Okay, 1918 is when he died. So he's coming back to 1984, and he's a fish out of water and doesn't know how to use anything. Nothing is. But they that's. I feel like that's where they forced the 80s on you so much, because that second scene that talked about, it had the Trans Am, it had the colors. The wild colors, the sunglasses, the packed malls, all that stuff. So they had all the
exercise suits. The women
they had all that
wore,
stuff, but they didn't have any music.
Yeah, no 80s music.
There's no 80s music whatsoever, and I think that's one of the worst things.
That to me, I think it would have made this movie significantly better, because it almost then, you can start getting into that what Guardians of the Galaxy has done for us for soundtrack wise, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think there's hardly a better movie for soundtrack than Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
One of the most important part of the 80s was the music.
Yeah. And for this, it was almost like they tried to just force the 80s on you, and it's like Trans Am, all the exercise stuff, cheese in a can, this exercise bike, Pop-Tarts, and it's like, why do we need to go through? And because then there's nothing else in the 80s, the rest of the movie.
That's exactly it. The 80s were really force-fed to you over two scenes. That opening mall scene, and where you had, like I said, all the outfits and the Trans Ams and all that stuff, and that scene in the apartment where Trevor's trying on clothes. And it's
the fanny pack. That was the
fanny
other
pack.
one.
Yeah. Everybody, I get it. I'd actually like to bring a fanny pack back. I
Hey,
told Kayla that I'm like, with my wallet, my pocket knife, and you got earbuds now and all that stuff. It's like, why not just carry a fanny pack?
It does make a lot of sense.
It makes so much sense.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah. But no, to go back, you said something about Thor, compared to Thor. I got to throw out my favorite comic book series from the 90s when I was a kid, was the DC versus Marvel four-part series. Super cool. Absolutely loved it. And at one point, Captain Marvel, not Captain Marvel, at the time he's Captain Marvel, Shazam, was fighting Thor. And Thor beat him by stopping his lightning from changing from a boy into a superhero. Like that's what, so he used his Thor to take this. Yeah. Anyway, but the Mjolnir, his hammer got lost, and so it's just thrown away, and Diana Prince finds it and she grabs it, and all of a sudden she's got the power of Thor, but she casts it away because she's a morally sound human being or god and doesn't want to fight.
She is in the comics, not necessarily in 1984.
Correct. Yeah. But she didn't want to fight Storm with an unfair advantage, and actually Storm ended up winning. So
wow.
Spoiler alert on that one.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like I said, I had some struggles with some of the consistency on this throughout there. There was another one that happened fairly early on, but you don't find that it was inconsistent until later. She specifically calls out Max Lord offers to hook her up with a 19-inch TV.
Yeah.
Right? And this was like it is a specific scene that they literally draw your attention to, that you can get this 19-inch TV, and she makes the comment, I don't own a TV. I don't have one. And he's like, man, I can get you one. She's like, I'd rather have the one I don't have. Right? That's her comment on there.
Which sounds like something that Wonder Woman would say.
Which when you're watching, it's like, okay, that sounds fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, fast forward later on in the movie, they go back to her apartment. They walk into this closet where she's got all this, stuff hidden in there, and there's like 20 TVs in this room. They're all showing the news and everything else. I'm like, well, why did you call out my attention that you didn't have a TV and you make a big deal about it and then just totally show me that you have a bunch of TVs?
Yeah.
I just don't understand the writing behind this.
Absolutely. Another downfall that I thought was how on the nose things had to be with when Steve Trevor whenever they make a wish, their hair blows. It's like, do you have to do that? Do you have to make their hair blow and a wind going? Because like if that happened, I'd be like, okay, well something's happening here because randomly I'm in a building and all of a sudden wind is just blowing my face, and I think that's a little bit odd. I would look around to see what happened, but they don't. And then like when she wishes for Steve Trevor to come back and he comes back, in another's body, his watch starts. And it's like, I get this, that it's symbolic because she gave him the watch, or he gave her the watch and all that stuff. But like, do we need to do that? Do we need to be so in your face with this symbolism?
Again, I just think that it's a very poorly written film. And that's what I keep going back to, because these are not mistakes that the actors do. These are mistakes that are in the script. These are script mistakes.
Yep.
And that's the part that probably frustrated me the most on this is, and I know I keep mentioning this, but it's like Gal Gadot did fantastic. Yep. Kristen Wiig, actually her character, although it's exactly the same as Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns.
Really is. Yeah.
It like literally verbatim.
Yep.
The exact
Even the same hair because it was in the 90s or 80s.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have a lot of like similarities there, but I think that she did fantastic. I talked about Pedro and his acting, but I think it was well acted for the most part. It's just that you had this really bad script.
Yep, and I did some research on why they had the two openings, and they said that Patty Jenkins fought hard to keep both those opening videos in there, those opening scenes, which. I feel like weren't necessary, and they were kind of maybe setting the tone, but whatever. Warner Brothers said that she had to take one of them away, one or the other, either the mall scene or the Olympics, the Wipeout Olympics. One of them had to go, and she basically said, no, Wonder Woman was a success because of the way I saw it and that sort of thing. So they let her have it. And I don't know, but I just feel like it was a poor decision as well. I just don't get it. So
no, and I understand. Like, I think there's like I like the little girl aspect of it. Of you have this. I think there's a lot of little girls out there that would look up to that and have like a really cool feeling with that. But the issue is it just didn't fit into this movie. Like I agree.
It
did the first one.
Correct.
It did the first.
Correct. The little girl at the mall looking up to her. It's like, yeah, I can see that as being a tone setter. Like,
yep.
Because it's a big step forward for superhero movies that you're going to have this blockbuster movie that's a lead actress of powerful woman style. So it's very cool, very great that they're doing that. But if you're going to do that, make her a powerful, strong woman, not I don't know, somebody pining over her boyfriend after 66 years.
She was not the powerful superhero in this movie.
No.
I literally don't.
Nope.
I don't think I can remember a time. One of the best feelings, actually, you just mentioned it, in the mall scene when she slides the little girl into the bear, and they have the funny little action when she's holding him upside down.
Yeah,
that to me, I think, was actually one of the best little interactions that they had with
Correct.
a powerful, superhero.
Totally agree with that. On the subject of leading ladies and stuff like that, I feel like Kristen Wiig was actually the one who should have been, who kind of took over that role here, because she was the one that was powerful. And although she did the classic, like you said, she just sounded exactly like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. But she did the she's all that thing too, where she's wearing glasses and she's so dorky and all this stuff. People won't even help pick up her papers. Another one that was so I was like, are people really that rude that if you see a young woman with her stuff all over and asking for help to pick up her papers, that everybody's gonna walk by and like, come on.
That was way overdone.
Way over, yeah.
And there is that whole part where, again, I'm gonna go back to the consistency on this and things that are stated in movies and that just make me laugh. In the first Wonder Woman, as she's getting dressed after her and Steve get back from the island, right?
Yeah.
And she's trying on, and that's kind of a funny scene when she's trying on the outfits.
Scene, yeah.
Which is exactly the same scene that her and Steve had in this movie.
It is, yeah. It really is.
It is. It's just like rinse and repeat. Again, terrible writing.
Yeah.
But anyway, she makes a comment. Or Steve gives her the glasses and puts the glasses on, and then Steve's secretary states, well, you can't cover up the most beautiful girl in the world with glasses, right?
All of a sudden, now she doesn't look like the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah,
I love that line.
But now it's like with Kristen Wiig, a beautiful woman, and now it's like you're going to tell me that her putting on a pair of glasses is what makes her dorky.
Yeah.
This is like, it goes against everything that they're trying to go for here.
Here's the downfall of Kristen Wiig. I cannot look at Kristen Wiig without wanting to laugh, because that woman has my funny bone for sure. I absolutely adore her, and like I whenever I see her on screen, it's like I want to laugh. I'm gonna laugh. Let's do some laughing.
Oh yeah, I picture her in Bridesmaids.
Yeah,
is that it?
she's just she got that dry, sarcastic humor that I just absolutely love.
So the part that I actually liked, because at first, she is this dorky. Funny.
We should start talking about things we'd like here. It's not as terrible as we're making it out sound, but
it's better than Green Lantern. That's what I said.
It's better than Green Lantern. Yeah.
No, the funny thing is her character is really funny and dorky at the very beginning of this, right?
Yep.
Which feels very, very much like Kristen Wiig. When the changing point for me was when she just kicked the crap out of the dude.
Yeah.
Like when she was running past him.
Yeah.
And the look on her face was absolutely just awesome, because like it was the true turning point of like she's no longer good, right? And that was like, I don't know. I thought she did literally just a fantastic job of transitioning that.
Yep. I would like to see her brought back in a future film to have another. I'd like to see another shot of her. I'd like to see her get another shot.
So with that, just as we're talking about her and her character, I wanted more of her character.
Totally
like
agree.
I could have gotten rid of Max Lord and had this be 100% about Cheetah and Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And that's
get rid of Steve Trevor too. And again, loved his character, but get rid of him and just have it be about these two women battling. And give us some big bold fight scenes. I mean, like,
I loved his character in the first one.
yeah, absolutely.
But
we
he's
don't need
just
it
not needed in this one.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
again, it doesn't take away from his acting. It's just his character is not needed in this movie.
Correct. Although it would have been great if when he started up his plane and he stole his jet, which again stole a jet pilot from 1918. Maybe somebody out there can tell me, but as far as I'm not a pilot, but can you go in and fly a Hornet or whatever that was in the year 1984 if you were a pilot from 1918?
I mean, 1918, if I'm not completely mistaken here, you're still on a stick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you remember that, like, little canvas plane that he had, you know? I mean, like, that's got to be a stick-ran plane with, like, pedal rudders on it. And then you jump into this, like, highly sophisticated F whatever, right? Which was weird. They had side-by-side seats in that jet, too.
Yeah, again,
it's another thing.
Tell us if that's a thing, actually, but I don't think it is, to actually have a side-by-side. I've never seen it. I mean, Goose and Maverick definitely did not sit next to each other.
No.
They definitely
That would have had a much different outcome if they did.
Yeah.
Which actually, speaking of that, I believe you were just about to say something going back to that movie.
Correct. They should have, at that point, they should have had Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone play. That would have been a great time to bring in some 80s music. And that's another question I'd like to ask is what 80s music would you have liked to see or should have been recommended in there? Because I think that's what, like the Guardians of the Galaxy style, like that would have been perfect for this movie. That would have been great to have. This was a missed opportunity and Hans Zimmer's great. Everybody knows that, but when you've got a chance to play into a decade, why not play into that decade? Like
Guardians of the Galaxy made me love 80s music that I didn't even know that I loved.
Yep, exactly. They didn't play anything major. It was stuff you hadn't heard. I mean, you heard it, but you never really heard it.
Or
at
it's
least
not,
we hadn't. Because
or it's not on my playlist by any means,
Correct,
you know.
exactly.
So we're rocking out to like, you know, Poison and Guns N' Roses and, you know, some of that. Not what they were playing.
Yeah.
And,
Tell me they couldn't play Welcome to the Jungle when Cheetah started becoming Cheetah. You know, like that would have been a good one.
84?
Oh, no, I think that would have been like 89.
I think that's closer
Good point.
to the 90s.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, good point.
But
Touché.
no, I think there was a lot of missed opportunities on a soundtrack. And I think this, and I love the music that Wonder Woman has, right? That da, right? Like and like it was kind of fun a couple different times. I think they did this in the first movie too. When she would start doing something, you just kind of hear it lightly play in the background, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, full bore. And so I like the music, but it was like, again, the same soundtrack that was in the first Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just feel like that was a missed opportunity, huge missed opportunity. So the things that I did like about the movie, I liked that it was color. So, I feel like we've had, and I say that because a lot of the previous DC Universe movies have almost been that
dark
Zack Snyder style.
Yeah,
you know, like if you look at Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and even Wonder Woman or the first Wonder Woman, like they were very dark for the most part. Whereas this one seemed to be the first one that was mainly taken. All the everything was going on during the day. And you know, like you had a lot of light. Like her suit seemed more vibrant.
Oh, I would compare it to Thor 1 and 2 to Ragnarok, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's like that same
comparison.
kind of transition where it was like now bright, vibrant, you know, all these nice and, you know, bright colors and everything.
Totally agree. After that, I still think it was a good movie. I still think that it was a very good movie. So don't not watch this movie because we're bashing it here. It's just a little bit too much. I just feel like it was a step back. Not a bad movie, just not as good as Wonder Woman 1. And that's a high bar to hit. So
no, absolutely.
Wonder Woman 1 is probably the best movie in the DC universe.
It's just like, here's my issue. Man, I sound like a hater right now.
Yeah,
And
you
Wonder
really-
Woman is like literally one of, like I said, it's one of my favorite all-time movies. I love Wonder Woman 1. But my issue that I keep going back to is I can accept most of the time, usually the sequel actually gets a little better than the first one at times, right? If you look at Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, right? You start really making a huge jump, right? X1, X2, actually, I think is another one that I would end up throwing in there. Terminator. A lot of times you get that second shot. You get to redo what you did really well, and you get to add in all the next cool things to make it even better. Now, you do get some of them that go backwards. In my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy went backwards from 1 to 2. Not a drastic, like it was still a fantastic movie. It's just that the luster of the first one wore off on the second one, right?
I hear that.
This one, it just went from this incredibly awesome, powerful movie to just a dud. Like I mean,
I'm not going to say dud.
It's not I'm not saying it as a whole. Compared to Wonder Woman 1, this is a dud of a movie.
Yeah, but if you could, yeah.
But you have to compare it to that.
Yep. You're right. But I don't dislike the movie. I just think that there was a lot of stuff that the second time I watched it, I felt better about it because I had already seen some things and known, why this is happening this way. And this, so it's like, okay, I can get behind it, But again, when I watched Wonder Woman 1, like I was wowed.
No, it is.
I was, I get chills thinking about it. Years later, was that 2017? I think
17, yeah.
Yeah, years later, and I get chills thinking about that movie because it was so incredible, so empowering. It was everything. It was perfect movie. And then this one was just like, it's all right,
I would compare it like if you went from Iron Man 1 and then just skipped 2 and went right to Iron Man 3. And like that, like there's a big gap between those two movies.
That's a good one. I would say that's about right. Yes.
it's just there's just no luster to it.
So leaving Green Lantern out and the rest of the DC world, where would you put it as far as DC, the DC multiverse? Which it sounds to me like Patty Jenkins threw out Justice League anyway, because there were certain things that didn't jive with those two as well, you know. But comparing, if you had to list off the DC universe movies right now, the multiverse that they are in,
I actually,
if it's all going to continue with the same, I don't know what the plans are for the future.
Yeah,
I feel like this one needed to be in there to save it, but we'll see. Anyway, regardless,
1, 2, and 3 on that list to me are incredibly easy to throw out there, and my 1 is Wonder Woman by far.
Yep.
Number 2 is Aquaman. Aquaman was, I thought, fantastic. And that one had like the largest chance of just being a crap movie.
Totally.
And it was fantastic, because you got to do a lot of CGI stuff. You got to do a lot of underwater things. I thought they did great at that. Again, this movie, 1984, I thought the CGI was very poorly done.
I think so too.
As well. Like it just, the final fight, just not exciting.
Yeah, I wanted more there.
Yeah, just I don't know, just it felt very CGI-esque. And then number 3 to me is Shazam. I actually really like Shazam, and I think that one has that fun flair that we don't know exactly where they're going to take it. But I think that one has like a really cool one to go. You start getting into the Superman or Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League. Honestly, you could probably roll the dice on about any of those to me. None of them are wow to me.
Yep.
And yeah, I could pretty much go either way. And then you'd have like Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So I would take that and I would flip it around a little bit because I would put Wonder Woman, the first one, at number 1 easily. Number 2, I'm putting Man of Steel pretty easily at number 2. I dang close to wanting to put it number 1.
Wow.
Because I really, really liked Man of Steel. I think that was a really well done movie. Just Superman finding himself, that sort of thing. Number 3, I would put Shazam. Oh. Number 4, I would put Aquaman. Then I would put this one at 5. Then we go into Justice League and I'd probably go Batman versus Superman after that, and then Suicide Squad. I
think 84 is at the bottom of my list.
Very bottom.
Suicide. I think I had more fun watching Suicide Squad than what I had. Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie was better. Like I enjoyed and had more fun watching her than I did watching Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
I really liked Jai Courtney and Will Smith in that movie too. Clint Eastwood's boy. What's his name?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But
put up on the thing.
Yeah,
there
it's
for
right
me.
There it is.
But I really like that cast. That was a great cast. I just don't think that to me, they were bad guys, but they never acted like bad guys, and like they never did anything bad.
Yeah.
Like the monsters were just CGI turds or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I really dislike.
The bad guys were absolutely terrible. I think I enjoyed it probably as much as what I did 84. I don't know, flop them around wherever you want to throw them.
Have you seen the trailer for the new one, the new
No,
Suicide Squad?
Not yet.
It looks really good. They've got like a list of characters that are a mile long. It's got the guy from, I'm gonna miss all these names here, but the guy from Saturday Night Live, and it's bringing back Margot Robbie and
this guy from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Jai Courtney's coming back. There's just a ton of huge actors in there. I wish I could think of their names. List them all up here because there's a few.
Suicide Squad 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a few of them right here that I can't remember their names. Anyway, regardless, they've got all these characters, and I imagine that half of them are going to be dead before the beginning of the movie, like they did in Suicide 1. But anyway, sorry.
Well, and that I hope they take that, and I think this is what we all wanted out of Suicide Squad, right? I mean, I wanted DC's version of Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want it, gruesome. I want it very adult. I want it, like...
Suicide Squad is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy style, though, because it's the same director.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
I think I can handle that as well.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah. No, so with this, one of the other questions that I would ask everybody out there, and like we said at the very beginning of this, we watched it via HBO Max. And it is one of those that you can watch in theaters as well. What's your preference, right? So it sounds like HBO Max for 2021 is going to be launching all the Warner Brother titles. Will be on HBO Max and theaters. Will you be going to theaters to watch these movies, or are you going to sit in the comfort of your own home? So
I'm a huge save the cinema guy. I'd really like to get back to movie theaters, but I just don't feel like now's the time to start forcing things like that when we're so close to being able to just do that like crazy in the future anyway. So I love that Warner Brothers has taken this leap and saying we're going to do it this way for at least 1 year and see. Yeah. Hopefully after that it goes back to normal and everything's in cinemas. And I know not everybody's going to agree with that, but I like the cinema experience. So
one of the other questions, we talked about where we ranked this for our movies within the DC universe. Where would you put it? So are you putting it in the middle like Chad's putting it? Are you putting it down at the bottom? Where are you putting this movie at?
Yep. The other one I'd like to say is, have you seen any Easter eggs in it? Because I watched it twice, and there was a scene where they're looking into like a room filled with different relics, black market relics and stuff. Like, I paused it there to see if I could find some sort of Easter egg, and I thought maybe there was a head of Zeus back there, but that's not really an Easter egg. So I'd love to know if there were any Easter eggs out there as well.
Yeah, I think like the two big callbacks, and I'm not going to mention these because they are total spoilers and they're really fun to watch. But we talked about I think when they're flying together, I think there's some neat things that happen around there. There are some neat callbacks, and I think that of course stay after the credits. You're gonna wanna watch that.
Great post credit scene.
That post credit scene was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was probably the only time I got chills in the movie.
Yeah,
so it was like I said, it was great. So.
Feel a little ashamed that I didn't see it coming. So.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Completely by surprise. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that I thought were really predictable about that movie. That was not one. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So, well, hey, with that, I think that wraps up this edition of the Pandora's Theater. So the credits are rolling.
Lights are coming on.
That's the end of the show.